Hi everybody, thanks for joining us tonight. I trust that you have a good time thus far. For those of you who are joining our live groups for the first time, we are so glad that you chose to spend your night with us. Before we proceed further, be sure that you have registered yourself for our special Christmas service on the 19th December. It's going to be fun and you won't want to miss it. As for tonight, we will be hearing from two ladies sharing their very personal story with us. And I pray that as we listen, we will find it in our hearts to share their experience and also identify some of the struggles that they face in our lives.
I'm working in a financial institution. In my department, there is a few sales team, and I'm in one of the sales team.
I've joined Shell Malaysia last year, November. And once I've joined, my boss actually, he went overseas for a work trip. During that period, we have already been scheduled to host, we'll be organizing this first nationwide campaign. And then shortly after, MCO happened.
So early this year, there's a restructuring going on. There's a merger between my department and another department. So come to end of September, the management actually announced the retrenchment list. Unfortunately, my team, there are 9 of us. 7 of us are retrenched. Despite I'm not in the list, I'm actually fearful as well, because I don't know what is going to be the changes. And 1 month down the road, after we got to know, the new structure and the new change on the job role, which I'm required to take on a totally new field to me, and also speculation that I have to sit for a tough certification examination to stay on the job. So there are a lot of anxiety within me.
Before the campaign ended, during the second last week of the campaign, that's when my house got flooded. I still remember that day where I wasn't around. I was out with my friend, and that's when my sister first texted me and said that, hey, the house got flooded and it has reached to our ankle level. And then I was like, oh, okay, ankle's still alright lah. It's nothing to worry about. And then shortly afterwards, I think it was just within 20 minutes time, then she called me again and said that, okay, it's getting a bit serious right now. It has reached to our knee right now. Then the next thing my sister called me was that it has reached our waist level and we have to evacuate right now. So all of us are going to be leaving the house. That's when I was really like, there's just lots of questions. I don't know how to react to it, because the first thing was like, what about my company laptop? Because I can't afford to having a spoiled laptop at this point, because every weekly I have to keep track of the campaign performance. There are just lots of, in terms of responsibilities and my reporting, my job scopes, things that I have to do. There's just so many things at the back of my head. So by the time I reached back the Taman, so I actually, tried to walk back in barefoot, but then even before reaching my house junction, actually I got stopped by a ranger already, because the water current was too strong and everybody was actually leaving and evacuating. The next morning, I still remember when myself and my siblings and my mom, when we first went back home, it has turned to, all upside down, that we couldn't recognize the house anymore. The whole layout was just, it's all messy, it's muddy, and that smell. At least for myself, I felt very helpless. I feel there's lots of things to do, but I don't know where to kickstart. But then I think we just drag ourselves, say that we just have to, just start throwing things. When we look at every single items, we look at them with the functionality of it. whether it still can be used or not. But at the same time, actually, there's actually a lot of emotions that we could not process just yet. Everything, we just look at it that, okay, throw, okay, keep. When we have to actually get close to 10 men, 10 fine, strong men to help us to carry my late dad's piano, I think that's when, all the emotion actually flooded up. It feels like years of hard work, years of memories, and it was just all gone within a night.
This year is a year which is very tough for me. I face a lot of separation. So during the MCO, when the MCO just started, I seldom go back hometown because I was afraid that, I will bring back the virus and spread to my family. And then subsequently, my housemate moved out from the house, and that was in April. And after that, a few months down the road in August, my roommate also moved out. I was left alone at home, and it was a very emotional, challenging time for me. Yeah. And at the same time, I ended my 16 years of long-distance relationship. The day when my roommate moved out, when I reached home and looked at the empty shoe rack, empty wardrobe, the empty house, it was very emotional. I broke down and asking God, why?
For I think close to a month time, and it was quite bad to a point without me realizing I actually plunged into depression, because there's lots of worries in terms of how can I recover as soon as possible at work, helping my family to recover as well financially. Yeah, with all those questions that no one could answer and no one to discuss with, I harbor lots of bitterness and anger until one day when, I still remember it was Pastor Moses who shared the passage from Ezekiel chapter 47, where that's why I mentioned that the river flows from temple, right? The stream of the river, and it flows and all the way to the Dead Sea. And along the way, then it mentions as well, exactly as per how my sister actually called me up and say that it has reached to ankle, and then right now it's to our knee right now, and next waist. I really got struck by presence of Holy Spirit, and I actually burst into tears. I couldn't contain that overwhelming feeling, and it started to shift my perspective around to think that actually He loves myself and my family so much that He decided to actually really bless this household with His presence. I've been praying for my family all this while, but I think to a certain point as well, then I start to question, would it ever happen? So, but I think it's a confirmation, a reaffirming of my faith as well, that God is doing greater things, and I believe that revival is going to come in my household as well.
I went for counseling session with a Christian NGO since middle of last year. So during one of the counseling session, I was going through this SEN therapy with counselor. The topic was talking about my relationship with God. There's a few items that I choose from the rack. There are a lot of items displayed, so I just pick whichever that describe my relationship with God. I was assured, and the counselor also prayed for me, that God is carrying me through all this, and He is my shepherd, and I'm His sheep, and He knows my voice.
Truth is, things didn't got any better even at work or at home as well, where there's still lots of uncertainties in terms of where to move to next, right? At work is where Shell has actually released a public statement where there will be a job reduction of 700 to 900 jobs reduction globally. Just this week alone, we've actually been notified that by first week of January, that's when you'll be notified whether your job got impacted or not. And truth is, indeed, there's lots of, the sense of anxiousness. I can really sense it from all around my colleagues. Everyone is starting to look out. They start to look for backup plans. What's going to happen if their jobs got impacted. And the truth is, I'm not worried. I am not worried, not because my job is really that secured. I believe everyone is replaceable, but I really believe that God has planned for everyone, for all of us, especially us whom He loves so much. And I believe that my future is secure in His hand. So yeah, I think if really it comes, then it's alright. I'll have a way out of it, no worries, in God's hand.
I reflect through my working life and I can see God's faithfulness in this journey. When I just started working, I don't have a car. God blessed me 3 jobs that's on the same street. I went through retrenchment in year 2009 and I was without a job in 2 years after that. Yeah, and God actually blessed me, throughout my working life, 5 jobs that is accessible via public transport before I started driving. I'm reminded that, true security doesn't come because I have a stable job, but because I have a faithful God that I can rely on. Even though there are a lot of uncertainties, I do not have to over worry because God knows what I'm going through and His faithfulness will never fail me.
Welcome back. Thank you, Seti and Yelena, for sharing such personal story with us. It must have been difficult. Empty shoe rack, empty wardrobe, and a house that got turned upside down overnight. What more is the uncertainties that are lying ahead of them? I think many of us watching will be able to identify with the situation and emotion that Seti and Yelena faced. Well, thank you for reminding us that through all these challenges and uncertainties, our true security lies in the one and only faithful God, who has never leave us, who has a plan for every one of us, because He loves us. Within the confines of this group, a safe environment, let us take courage to share our own experiences. This is a place where you can find support. This is a place where you can find real hope and peace. So for the next segment, your facilitator will guide you through some discussion questions. Let's all participate and be enriched as we share and listen to one another's story. Have a good night.